Sixers Wizards instant reaction video right here on YouTube. We just got out of the Playback room, playback.tv. We were watching it together. We had over 100 people in there. Thanks for coming through. Watch Sixers games with me on the Playback TV app, man. We have a blast. If you're not in there yet, what are you doing? Hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn your notification bell on. Sixers beat the Wizards. What was it, 148 to something? I didn't even look at the final score. I kind of stopped watching. I was watching the Clippers-Knicks game kind of simultaneously towards the end of that Sixers game, to be totally honest with you. But yeah, the Wizards are terrible, and they're very terrible. And the Wizards are a terrible team that doesn't have any young, hungry talent. You know, it's not like one of those teams like the Spurs last year or the Rockets or, you know, the OKC a couple years ago. One of those teams that, yeah, they're bad. They're not going to win a lot of games, but they have a lot of young talent. And if you mess around, if you play with your food, you know, they can run you out of the building. Not this Wizards team. This Wizards team is bad. They have no young, hungry talent on the team at all. They just got Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole out there chucking up shots. I mean, this team is horrendous. And we'll just start with Joel Embiid. Like I said earlier today on the live show, when you look at the Wizards roster, who's going to guard Joel Embiid? Who's going to guard him? I was like, their only center is Daniel Gafford, right? And I was like, Daniel Gafford has played Joel Embiid tough in the past couple of years. Somebody pointed it out in the stream. The playoff series with the Sixers and Wizards in 2021, Gafford played Joel Embiid tough. And I was like, so Gafford's played Joel Embiid tough before, and he's got some size, and, you know, he can ball a little bit. First quarter, Gafford actually was playing tough on Embiid, blocked one of his layups, caught a couple of alley-oops down the lane. Sixers weren't really playing defense to start the game. And we were like, yo, what's going on here? And Gafford looked like, you know, he's putting up a fight against Embiid. And Embiid then did what he should do, which is start to get physical. You know what I'm saying? And I again, these guys are finally being coached. These guys are finally being coached, and it's showing. Sixers are coming out in the second half of games with a crazy amount of energy, and it's all Nick Nurse. But Joel Embiid in this third quarter was absolutely out of his mind. And again, nobody on this Wizards team can guard him. Gafford, he started just bodying Gafford, and if you're bodying their only center and making him look like a child, what else do they have? They put in Mike Muscala at one point. This guy has a mullet like an OG, like NASCAR fan, Confederate flag waving mullet Mike Muscala has. And Joel Embiid just knocked him out of his way a couple of times. He can't stop him. Joel Embiid in the third quarter, now I look at Twitter, I look anywhere else, in the third quarter, Joel Embiid was 10 for 10 from the field, 9 for 9 from the free throw line, and had 29 points. Joel Embiid, against a team where earlier today I looked at their roster and said I don't see anybody that's even going to come close to guarding him. He put up 29 points in the third quarter on perfect from the field and perfect from the free throw line. I mean, it's the Wizards. You know, we're not going to celebrate, but that's how good Joel Embiid is. And when you play a team where Daniel Gafford's their only center, that's what Joel Embiid does. 10 for 10 and 9 for 9 from the line in the third quarter for a 29-point third quarter. Nick Batum got some playing time in the beginning of this game. And Nick Batum hit his first 4 shots as a Philadelphia 76er. He came in the game, we're like, Batum's in the game. He hits a 3 from the corner. He hits another 3 from the corner. He hits a 3 from the top of the key. He was 3 for 3 from three-point range in the first quarter of the game, Nick Batum. His first 3 shots as a Sixer. Then he gets a mid-range fall away. I thought he finally missed, and it rolled in somehow. Nick Batum starts his Philadelphia 76ers career by making his first 4 shots. And I just want to say that Nick Batum, at this stage right now, is such an upgrade offensively from P.J. Tucker. It's not even close. I could see probably Nick Batum ending up in the starting lineup on the Sixers team at some point. Possibly. DeAnthony Melton was on fire in the first half. Good to see DeAnthony Melton get going. You know what I mean? He's been struggling offensively this season so far. So it was nice for DeAnthony Melton to get going in the first half. His defense and rebounding and effort is always there, but he's just been struggling offensively. So it was it was nice to see DeAnthony Melton come out of it a little bit. So Joel Embiid absolutely dominates the fourth. Joel Embiid absolutely dominates the third, and then we start the fourth quarter, and Wizards are hanging around. They actually cut it to 12 at one point. I think that's when Maxi started to go on the run, when the Wizards cut it to 12. Tyrese Maxey just went on an absolute tear for the first couple of minutes of the fourth quarter and put the game away. Once again, Tyrese Maxey put the game away. Joel Embiid didn't have to come back in the game. This is the second time, I think, in the last 3 games that the other team, sniffed around, made a little bit of a run, and Tyrese Maxey put the nail in the coffin. Tyrese Maxey said, I am one of the leaders of this team. I'm putting this game away. And Tyrese Maxey goes on that run in the fourth quarter and puts the game away. 3 from the corner, mid-range, driving all the way to the rim, and one finishes, you name it. Tyrese Maxey, floater over everybody 2 or 3 times. A play off the top of my head that I absolutely love is Patrick Beverley brings the ball up, and you see him point at Maxey. Maxey was already rolling. He had just scored 6 or 8 points in a row. Pat brings the ball up. He points to Maxey, calls a play. Paul Reed sets a screen for Maxey at half court. Maxey goes around the Paul Reed screen at half court. Now he's going downhill full speed. Pat Bev hits him at about the 3-point line, and he just gets into the lane and shoots a floater. These are the types of plays that Doc Rivers never drew up for Tyrese Maxey, because Tyrese is already lethal, speed-wise, ball handling, finishing at the rim, everything. But if you put him in situations like that where he's getting a screen at half court and catching the ball on the run, now you're taking him to the next level. This is what we were saying for 2 years. Set the kid up. Put him in an advantage. Put him in an advantageous situation. And that's what Nick Nurse is doing for Tyrese Maxey. And Tyrese Maxey puts the game away. Just love it. Tobias Harris had another good game. Tobias Harris continues to shut me up with all of my hate that I've given him last season, this season, this offseason. Tobias Harris is balling, and Tobias Harris is the main thing that he's doing differently. Somebody just asked me in the chat right before I got off the stream on Playback. The main thing Tobias Harris is doing that I'm noticing is playing physical. When Tobias gets a run to the rim, he's squaring up, he's going into the defender, and he's finishing strong. All the years I watched Tobias Harris, he was one of the softest players I've ever seen. He would go up, and when there was a defender there, he would try to go around him. He reminded me of Ben Simmons with his soft finishing for all the years I watched him. He would put up high floating layups, try to go high off the glass and fall out of whatever. He's not doing it anymore. He's getting the ball, he's squaring up, and he's putting shoulders into guys' chests and putting the ball in the hoop. And Joel Embiid, the same situation. Joel Embiid, the same situation, man. Take Gafford in the paint and put him inside the rim. These guys are playing hard. They're playing physical. They're not looking for calls. And they're finally being coached. They finally have a coach looking them in the face and telling them, stop looking for calls. You're bigger than this guy. You're stronger than this guy. Go put the ball in the rim and put him in the seat in the first damn row. And that's what you're seeing from these boys, man. Kelly Oubre, not a great game from Kelly Oubre. He only had a couple shots in the game. It was really odd. You didn't really see much of Kelly Oubre in this game. In the third or the fourth quarter, he had a little bit of a sequence where he had 1 or 2 plays. He had a drive baseline where he dunked on Kyle Kuzma and got mauled with no foul call for us. But Kelly Oubre, a little bit of an off game. So his first game, I didn't look at the stats, but I'm assuming his first game not scoring 20 points for the Sixers, I think, or he had an 18-point game a couple nights ago. Either way, whatever. He's averaging 20 points. The referees were very weird in this game. Very weird. And I need to Thankfully, I just said that because I thought of this. In the beginning of this game, that call on Joel Embiid was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And I've now seen NBA officials make up rules several times. We're only 5-6 games into the season, and I've seen NBA referees make up rules completely. Joel Embiid goes to the rim. Gafford defends him with his face. Gets Joel's elbow in the face. The Wizards, they call a foul on Gafford. The Wizards coach challenges the play. The NBA officials come to the scorer's table and they say, after review, there was a defensive foul on the play. But after the defensive foul, Joel Embiid elbowed him in the face. So we're now going to call a technical foul for the elbow on Joel Embiid. And he got fouled while shooting, but the basket doesn't count because he got a technical foul for the elbow. So he gets 2 free throws. Just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And I had an analogy. I said, that's like you going to court because a cop said you ran a stop sign, and then you go in the court and they're like, you didn't run the stop sign, but upon further review, we did see that you were 3 miles per hour over the speed limit, so we gave you a speeding ticket after the fact. That doesn't make any sense. How are we now reviewing calls? The team that challenged the call lost the challenge because it was in fact a foul, but because you got to review it because the guy challenged it, you added a technical foul for that. This has to stop. This has to stop. NBA, this has to stop. We can't now be reviewing plays because somebody challenged it. They lose the challenge, but when we watched the replay, we saw something else, so we added it to the... What the fuck is going on? Anyway, I didn't want to rant that much about that. But yeah, the Wizards are terrible. There's no young, hungry talent on the team. Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole absolutely don't give a shit about anything. They play no defense. Joel Embiid dominated as you knew he was going to dominate. Tyrese Maxey took over in the fourth. Sixers win again, and they did exactly what I said they need to do in a game like this, is put a bad team away. I finally, for the first time in a lot of years watching the Philadelphia 76ers, I don't see a team cut the lead to 12 and say to myself, oh, fuck, we're going to collapse. Finally, I do not feel like the team is going to collapse. There's not a question in my mind that the Wizards are going to come back and win this game. For how many years did we watch the Sixers and say, oh, shit, here comes that fourth quarter collapse? The Brett Brown era, all those 20-point blown leads, the Doc Rivers era, all those blown. We finally have a team that is locked in, is working hard, and is doing the right things. The transition defense, the rebounding. They're finally playing hard, and you know that they're not going to collapse because they're playing the game the right way. I don't know what else to say. I couldn't be happier. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me on the Playback stream. And we'll be lunchtime live tomorrow talking about everything. I love you guys. Have a good one.